Man, what you mean? Welcome back to another episode of Redzone in the Lab. And today we're going around the NFL. And I know we've seen a lot about Debo Samuel possibly being traded, I don't know, released, whatever it is, but being a part of the Commanders this upcoming season. So we have a 49ers correspondent that's going to come talk to us not only about Debo Samuel, but some other players that Adam Peters might want to go back to pull from. Right after this, we're going to talk about the 49ers.
Yeah, man, people ask that question all the time, man. But look, I was born into this, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, I bleed burgundy and gold. I bleed DC. This is my home. This is my squad. Regardless of all the name changes and all that, man, it's burgundy and gold for me. It's DC for me. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm here, man. I ain't going nowhere. I ain't going nowhere. Do it because you love it, not because it loves you. One beat, one sound, one heart, one love.
Welcome back to the Redzone In the Lab podcast. I am Deuce, and joining me today, Snuggins. What is good with you today?
What's up? What's up, dudes? I'm doing good, man. Again, thank you for having me. Happy to be here. Looking forward to it, man. But yeah, no, all is well on this end. All is well.
That's good to hear, man. As soon as Snuggins came, he was like fire sale.
Yeah, I know. I saw it. Hey, no, but in some ways, it's potentially true because there'll be some changes, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I think there'll be some familiar faces this season, but yeah, I think you're going to see some new faces as well.
Yeah, man. Like I know you got a looming contract quarterback, which is the number one position and the most important position probably in all of sports coming up. And for me, looking back at the 49ers, I say it was injuries. What's your main take from the 49ers this past season?
Well, I mean, listen, man, I don't. You don't want to lead off that as an excuse, and I certainly don't want that to be the summary of the season because you do have to have the mentality of next man up. But the issue sometimes with that is, and it's funny because Fred Warner, I think, just said it either within his last couple of podcasts or it might have been during Super Bowl time. You know how players do interviews and stuff like
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
and he had mentioned that you can have the mentality for a long time. He's like, but when then it starts to be like a Brandon Ayuk and like a Trent Williams and like yes, you can have next man up, but when you're missing guys like that, it starts to kind of add up a little bit, especially if you would have had a chance to get into the playoffs. Probably would have been the first time we probably would have lost in the wild card divisional this year. So, but yeah, injuries played a long part, man. And I just think we just had a lot of other things going on off the field. We had the two unfortunate things with Mooney Ward and with Trent Williams. Earlier in the year, our offensive line, coach, had unfortunately happened with his wife. So I just think a lot of off-field stuff. And again, you don't want to use those excuses, but again, these guys are human. Deuce, it happens. It was a
yeah,
down year. We had obviously a heartbreaking loss a year before, and it just, I think things added up, and we just couldn't get in front of the eight ball, and it just happened.
yeah. Adam Peters,
Yes,
thank you. Right,
you're very welcome.
thank you. Right.
You're very welcome.
What he has brought to us, if you're not following as closely, is very similar to what you all have as far as structure in the front office.
Sure.
Prior to him coming here, man, we might have had 10 people. I mean, maybe 7. I don't know. It was because we had kind of looked at your front office structure as far as placement and the hierarchy and how the chain of command works. And it was so robust. And we were nowhere near that. But he's guiding probably 60 to 70% there. And I
Right.
think that's his goal to get there. We were fortunate this year not to lose anyone. This year, we had a couple people that went out for interviews, especially Newman, which he came from the Lions. But even still, he's a very important piece to this front office. So I think we're going to grow it a little more to look more similar to what you guys have, which has been successful. But coming into this off season, we're going to get to the guy everybody wants. We're going to wait for that to keep everyone intrigued. But as far as our defensive line, our defensive tackle, we were horrible at trying to stop the run. Right, we just could not stop the run for all different types of reasons. I think we have some good pieces there, but we just couldn't put it together.
Sure.
One of your guys, Javon Kinlaw, what do you think he will bring to a team like us? Is that someone that you think we should pursue? And what's your overall outlook from him with your because I honestly think AP is mirroring a lot of what you all do in the front office and on the field.
Well, I mean, part of me wants to, say I don't blame AP just to be the fan,
Right, right,
but
right, right, right.
no, but at the same time, but I can understand because at least the philosophy is you do want to build the trenches. So in AP's, he was a big part of our drafts. It's obviously he already translated that to you guys. It took only pretty much one season for you guys to have a pretty standout draft. So hopefully this success continues there. But as far as with Kinlaw, what I would say, man, is if you're bringing him in, kind of what you alluded to, if you're bringing him in to be a run stopping sort of defensive tackle, be part of a rotation, um, I think it's a good signing.
Mhm.
If you're bringing him in to be, I think, one of your two main defensive tackles, and you're expecting some type of pass production also from him, I think you might be a little disappointed when the season comes to an end. I'm not saying he would be an awful player, but I just think you would, based on the production, he's one of your one or two guys. I think you'd be a little disappointed. But again, part of a rotation, run stopping, great. He still had moments on Jets when he was on the Jets this past season on tape where he just stands up a little too high sometimes, and that's
Yeah.
where he kind of gets in trouble in the passing game. But again, I wouldn't mind signing him for depth, especially on our side, because we are very thin at defensive tackle. Kind of what you were just alluding to, what's got us in the position that we're in, and what you kind of saw finally this year is, we had a couple not so great drafts in a row. Not the one that just passed. We did really well this last draft, but 22 and 23 were not great. Kind of feeling the lack of not having those first round picks, and stuff like that. So we're feeling the as they would say the thinness on the defensive tackle on the defensive line side, maybe outside of Bosa. So from that standpoint, I would like a Kinlaw. But again, if you're bringing him to be a starter, like a main guy, I would pump your expectations.
As far as edge, we don't really have a strong edge guy. Uh, when you look at the sack numbers and you look at someone like Dante Fowler,
Mm-hmm.
they wasn't like Trail calls them empty sacks, right? It's not game changing sacks. It's not someone you can depend on if it's 3rd and 9 and you need a stop. Fowler gonna get me one. Even a signing with Dorrance Armstrong, like they just don't give you that all around edge rusher or all around defensive end that's good and the run and the pass. And I can't really pronounce his name, but you're someone that you told me that Adam Peters might reach back on. Charles Omenihu, is that
So
how you
Charles Omenihu, yep,
pronounce it? Yeah. What what,
yep.
what type of player is he?
So he's gonna play a little. The reason why I like him is I think he brings versatility to a line. So we originally got him. We traded I think it might have been a 6th or 7th round pick to the Texans a couple seasons ago. I think right before we made the 2021 run, and then we had him for I think the 1 year after, and then he went to Kansas City as a free agent. But what I like is that his versatility. He usually plays edge, but you can put him at defense tackle if you need to. Again, you probably wouldn't do it often, but it can be done. Certain packages, certain situations, things like that. And again, I just think he's a guy that I know you guys are looking for defensive line help. I'm sure you
Mm-hmm.
guys are going to be at the front of the table when it comes to the whole Miles Gann and Max Crosby rumors. But yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
think just Omenihu, again, being a good player, he's a free agent. I kind of got the impression when I heard his interview recently, I think he did one with Kay Adams or one of those kind of shows. He sounded very 50-50 on going back to Kansas City. Didn't sound like he didn't want to go back, but they just like any team, they have to make some changes and look at some things, differently now this offseason. So yeah, man, I think he'd be a good player. I wouldn't even mind again if we looked at him, but I don't know if he's going to be in our price range, what we're looking for.
All right, so I told you I call this guy Jumanji. Like he's
Yeah,
on
which
our
yeah, I was gonna
radar.
ask you why is that?
You gotta ask Slim. Like Slim is he's the guy. Like he gives nicknames
Okay.
and he has the quotes. He has the one liners. But I think it's a cool name, right?
Sure.
But Hufanga, like I've been talking about him a lot, Snuggins.
Mhm.
I really like him. Like we have Quan Martin and we had Jeremy Chin. I think Jeremy Chin is one of the ones that we're gonna pay as far as give him multi-year deals. A guy that came from a prove it deal, I think he's gonna be one that we re-up for a multi-year deal. I also would like to move Quan Martin to the slot. I mean, that's where I think he's going to excel, where he's going to be best, where he was at when he was at Illinois with Weatherspoon and the rest of those guys. So I'm looking for more of a free safety guy who can get sideline to sideline, and I'm kind of confused. Let me know what type of safety he is because when you look at the numbers, Snuggins, looks like he plays a lot of free safety or he lines up there a lot. But who is Hufanga? Like what type of role that he used to have with your defense?
No, for sure. So the again, going back to the word versatility, and I think this is important because let me tell you something. If Adam Peters is going to mirror anything that Kyle and John have done, I think that would be a word that would be on his board. He would be writing down. Might not be the main word, but it'd be on his list because that's again what Hufanga brings to the table. And as you can see, that's what Kyle loves to do, especially on offense, right? But let's focus on our main man here, Jumanji, as some would call him in the streets. So he does play a lot of free safety. He's also going to be able to, listen, I'm not giving the comparison, but just so people who are listening and when they watch this, they can kind of get a visual. He does want to play a lot like Palomalu did back in the day. He's going to play a little more close to the line of scrimmage. He wants to be aggressive. He's a good tackler. Now, he'll have his moments like anybody, but he's a good tackler. He certainly helped us in the run game. Whenever he wasn't in, we felt it back there. And we felt it a lot because not only did Jair Brown, in a lot of ways, kind of take a step back, had a really poor year tackling this year, Jair Brown. So we miss it from that regard. So he's going to play to the line of scrimmage a lot. He's going to be up there. He's going to be great at ball hawking. Now, he's going to have his moments again in sticky coverage. He's going to probably have his moment he might get beat. But he's good back there as far as the ball hawking abilities, kind of tracking down that ball, loves to make a play. He's had a couple interceptions for us, like basically at the line of scrimmage. He picked off a screen pass once against the Rams and returned it for a touchdown. So he's, again, like kind of those like Palomalu-ish, like, plays,
Yeah.
like jumps right at the line of scrimmage right when the ball is snapped type stuff. So that's what he's going to be like. So again, I think if you guys brought him in, you'd probably let Chin do his thing back there as far as coverage, and you kind of would let Hufanga just, like, again, be a little chess piece for you guys for Quinn. Put him here, put him a little closer, let him cover, see what's out there.
Yeah, because I really rather have Chin up around the line of scrimmage. I
Oh,
think
okay.
that's
Well, then, yeah,
where
this would be an odd match then because they both kind of similar in that regard. Then,
yeah, that's what I was asking because Chin didn't play a lot of free safety, but we did have when we rotated, depends what coverage we were in, Quan to come up, Chin to go back. But I never liked he's always trailing.
okay,
He covered tight ends good. It wasn't great, but he has that ability to cover tight ends. When you get into the top three tight ends up there, then of course, I mean, but they give a lot of people trouble and running backs. But I think they do bring Chin back. And that was my only worry is that if he can play alongside Chin, but still kind of play more free safety like Quan did, I think I would look at it maybe like 80-20. But you don't think that'd be a good fit for
I mean, listen,
Hufanga?
I think good players can always make it work.
Yeah,
I'm a believer in that. I mean, he's a former All Pro. He's had a couple really good seasons for us. It's just the injury bug kind of got him the last like season and a half. Including this one. But no, I mean, like I think good players can make it work. I just meant it more in regards if that's where Chin is most see the thing a lot of times it comes out of comfortability. That's where Chin is comfortable, more kind of the close line of scrimmage. That's where he's going to do his damage. That's where maybe it could be an off fit. But hey, listen, if you said Chin's a free agent, maybe the plan is to go with Hufanga instead.
exactly. I don't know, and,
So
and
yeah,
that's, I mean, even though Chin is an AP guy because Chin signed him, but as far as talent, ceiling, for me, I like Jumanji better than
yeah.
Chin. And because some of the fan base don't agree, but again, that could be homerism bias.
Homer, I got you.
You know what I'm saying? So like, I don't know, but that's good to hear because that was something that I've been debating about with some of my fan base the last couple of days is him being a free safety, not being a good tackler and things like that. But when you look at the missed tackle percentages, like there are like he's right there with the rest of some
Yeah,
of the best in the league. I mean, even the best in the league have higher missed tackles than he has over the last 3 years. So, I mean, it's just the thing with safeties. I mean, they coming from a distance. Sometimes they
yeah,
miss, but I mean, 11 misses. I mean, that's not horrible compared to how many tackles he has.
for sure.
Yeah. Now this is one of the ones everyone wants. Of course, we
Yeah,
have Bobby Wagner. We all know, yes, Bobby Wagner is back to back all pros, but Bobby can't get sideline to sideline anymore, right? He can't cover well as he used to. God tackle powers, traps, all those different types of things. It's hard for him to get over those. If he cannot read the play pre-snap, that put him at a disadvantage. The thing about Bobby is he's still elite at processing plays pre-snap, which is puts him in disadvantages towards the offense, which is why he has so many tackles and he's a second team All Pro. But man, Drake Greenlaw, I mean, man, right? Like
yeah.
this is somebody that can cover sideline to sideline. He can get downfield. Well, let me let you like you watch him more than I do.
No, but everything you're saying is spot on, Deuce. I mean, Greenlaw is just there's no fan in me that because I'm not going to say it's I'm not just no homers and it's not a fan. He's just a good football player. There's just no
Yeah.
like um yeah, we can all point on some tape where he might have been a little too hot headed, but I love it and keep it coming,
Yeah.
Dre. You know, it I will always believe him going down the Super Bowl made a difference
Yeah.
in that game. And it is what it is and unfortunate. Um, we if we are to lose Greenlaw this offseason, Deuce, let me tell you something. We'll do our best to replace him because listen, we know Fred's still in that room, and if there's one thing we seem to be okay on doing the last few years, even before even Kyle got there, is finding these linebackers. We went from Patrick Willis to Bowman to
Oh
Warner
man,
to
y'all
him.
always
Yeah,
had him.
we've been a
Yeah.
little spoiled in that position. We even had Ken Norton Jr. back in the day in the like mid
Yeah.
'90s, stuff like that.
I mean, like if you think about it, you could compare that to our left tackles
There
before
you go.
at
See,
Trent,
right?
right?
It's kind of
Chris
weird how teams are like
Samuels,
that.
right? Chris
Yeah.
Samuels right into Trent. It's like 20 years of great left tackle
It's like
play.
somehow the Packers keep on getting
Yeah,
lucky with the
right.
quarterbacks. It's just oh man, I know. So I would say, listen, if I was in your guys' shoes and it kind of came down to if Adam was sitting in a room and he was like, listen, between Chin, Hufunga, and Greenlaw, I can from what else we want to do because there's the other side of the ball still, and you have the draft. I can only do two of these three. Greenlaw would be one of the two. I would have
Exactly.
zero hesitation. It would come down
Yeah.
to do I want Chin or Hufunga more. Um, he's gonna help your run game right away. He's going to be a tone setter right away. He's going to take. I mean, depending what you do with Wagner, but he's going to take control of that room right away. He's going to be a guy like he could be. He could become so. The only reason I'm worried about him leaving is because he could probably be so good as somebody's linebacker one that it would become his defense, like type
Yeah.
thing. Like he would be the Roquan, he would be the Fred for somebody's defense. He's good,
Yeah.
man. There's really not much to say. He's going to have his moments, like I said. Maybe he's a little over aggressive, and I think his coverage is good. I wouldn't say it's elite. That's kind of why he plays so well off of Warner because that's where Warner is really, really, really
Yeah.
good. And like you said, and Dre is just so good at going sideline to sideline and hitting that hole like a crazy man. So yeah, man, no, he's just. I know you guys need linebacker help, and if I was in your guys' shoes and money I have, he would be very, very high on my list of a player I'd want to sign.
Yeah, because I really think Wagner is going to come back. I mean, he already said he's going to play another year. The only thing that I question about Wagner, of course, he was going to Howard. I'm not sure where he is with his studies,
Mm-hmm.
but that was one of the points for him coming here to finish out school at Howard. But the Pete Carroll situation, like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, maybe he will, that's something we got to see. But let me ask you this. Louvu plays kind of sort of like a Michael Parsons role in a sense where he's up and down the field. I mean, he made All Pro for the first time. He wreaked havoc, and he wasn't he wasn't like covering. He was always like around the line of scrimmage. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think them three can play together if Louisville is more of a like pass rusher, rushing from all over, you know, three linebacker sets? Because we hardly ever run three linebacker sets. But do you think Dre and Bobby can play together?
Oh yeah, I don't think that'd be an issue. I think you'd even be able to go out like you say. Bobby did want to go follow Pete for like one more year, over in Raiders and kind of help them get the culture set up there and everything like that. I think you'd be okay even signing another linebacker beside Dre or drafting one, and you go with Dre. But you probably wouldn't draft. You probably would sign Dre, get somebody else, and you'd have the loop. But
Yeah,
I think you'd be okay, man. But I think Bobby and Dre can play. I don't think that would be. I don't think that'd be a concern, man. I think you guys would kind of do it the way that we use him and Fred. Obviously, I'm not saying. Obviously, we know Fred Warner right now is better than Wagner, but you know what I mean. As far as like you kind of have this cerebral guy setting up some things, and you just hey Dre, go do your thing, go be
yeah,
Tasmanian Devil on the field.
yeah. I would love that. Him and Louisville out there together,
No,
man.
bro, I'm telling you, like I've been saying in any space I go in, anything that I say, man, he's a priority for me as a fan, and I know even as a team, like a little bit of things that anything I can ever be told or whatever, I know he's high on our list. But listen, it's a business. It is what it is, and like I've told
Yeah,
anybody, you sign Dre Greenlaw, you're getting a good football player. You don't have it. The only thing your biggest concern with him is how is he really going to be with the Achilles? That's it.
yeah. And that was my last. I was trying to think of.
You're
I had
okay.
one more question.
Yeah.
I had one more question for him, but I couldn't think of it for Greenlaw. How did he look when he? I know he still got to get back in football shape.
Yeah,
But
he
he played
still
what
has to,
5 games? I think something like that.
Yeah,
Four or
he
five
played
games.
like he came. I think he came back when we had 5 left, but he only played in about 3. Really, mainly
Okay.
more like 2.5 because the one game that he kind of left, it wasn't the Achilles. Actually, it was the calf on the other leg. But that happens. That's kind of like
Yeah,
it's actually kind of what happened with
compensate. Yeah,
CMC. It transfers
yeah,
to the other leg because you're compensating
yeah,
whatever. So and we just pulled him because at that point in time, what are we going to have you play for, man? Like
yeah,
there's no reason for you to come play and then come back. I just meant it more as like a little bit of long term. Like he might come back and be really good for the next couple of years, but how's he going to look 3 years from now? Towards
yeah,
the end of that contract type thing. But still, I just think that's one of those things you got to trust. He's at
yeah.
least
It's the
young.
NFL.
He's
Yeah.
got that at least on his side. It's not like he's like in his 30s already. So I just think you take the risk. You do the contract smart and you take your chance that you're probably going to have a really good linebacker for 2 to 3 seasons.
Oh yeah. Okay. Debo Samuel. Like
Debo.
this is the talk. This is the guy. Um, how did we get here with the 49ers? Like what is it? Is it money or is it needs it's time for a new start? What is it with Debo?
So Deuce, man, it definitely isn't money, because not only did the 49ers pay Debo pretty decently, yeah, it was coming off of that one historic season, and yes, we know that's kind of been what his his one lone season. He's had a couple other good ones,
Mhm.
but you know what I'm saying. That's the one that really
Yeah,
stands
I
out.
think that we had like what 18 all-purpose yards or
Yeah,
something like
yeah,
that.
he had like
1,800,
he
something like
like
that.
pretty much the only season it's never been really done by a receiver before. I mean,
Yeah,
he is technically he's the only receiver to have at least to have 20 or more receiving and 20 or more rushing touchdowns. Pretty
yeah, it's
pretty
crazy.
actually crazy. Yeah, it's pretty cool. But so no, it's not money, man. I think it's a little bit more of what you said in the middle there when you said about change of scenery. And I just think also, Deuce, I think it's kind of time. I think where we want to go as an offense, Kyle definitely wants to do some more drop back with Brock Purdy, do a lot more of how, and again, these are not being said comparison. I'm just saying these so people can,
Yeah,
get some visual, do a little bit more like how he did use Matt Ryan, a little bit more drop back, deeper passing, right? Like another reason they drafted Ricky, why they like Brandon Ayuk so much, stuff like that. So I just think the offense is evolving to a different way. It's time like Kyle has a quarterback he trusts, a guy that he feels can go, make, enough of his type of throws. And I just think we don't need the, like the RPO guy back there, the, always do the end arounds, the wide receiver screens. Like, it's just like, it's not there anymore for us. And when we did do them, we weren't really getting a lot out of it, Deuce. I mean, I think at
yeah,
one point in time, he was averaging like barely like 2
yeah.
yards when he got the ball and stuff like that. So, I don't blame that all on just Debo. We didn't have a great season run blocking. We had a couple guys in our line that we just did not see take the step back they were going to. And Debo, as he kind of does, he had a couple games where he was like probably holding had a little bit of a nagging injury and, stuff like that. And the effort wasn't 100%. But I just think, yeah, but I think that all adds up, Deuce, that I just think it's time. I just think it's time.
Yeah.
It's better for Debo, better for the 49ers. And yeah, I think we could add a Debo, and I think it's just time to move on.
And I think for us, what we were missing is someone that gives you the RPO as a wide receiver,
Sure.
someone that's dynamic in the screen game, someone you can line up in the backfield, someone you can line up at the T spot, a slot receiver that can win early. Because as you know, the team that won the Super Bowl, the way to beat them is with a mobile quarterback and someone that
Mm-hmm.
can create yak after the catch, dump offs, and different things like that. But what's this stuff about? Like he just wants to be a wide receiver. Like
Well,
if that's the case, then I don't. That's not someone that I want because I want someone that's Debo esque.
no, I know I can understand it, and that's also, and I think that's also where he's also the most special. Sure,
Yeah,
he can have his moments where he might catch a little bit of a medium or pass and take it. Like he had a couple. He had one against Seattle, and he had another one. That one went for a touchdown, but I don't remember who the other one was against this season. But to your point, you want to use him more like in the backfield and like stuff like that, or at least in those type of plays or the screens. I wouldn't say I haven't either found out anything, read anything like that that he's has nothing to do with him about not wanting to be a running back anymore. At least I wouldn't really have those concerns. And also, like I kind of keep telling people, the way Debo is kind of wired, Deuce, is right now he's burnt out from not burnt out in a bad way playing football, but like I said, he's ready to move on. Whoever
yeah,
gets Debo, I can promise you, Deuce, I'm not saying it's going to be anything like 2021 because again, that was such a special
yeah. That's
season and
crazy.
probably right, you
Yeah.
know. But he's going to play, I think, good for whoever gets him. I think he'll be a decent player for whoever gets him because he's going to want to prove it to himself and to all the
Hmm.
noise he's already hearing. You know,
Yeah.
because we could have traded him, Deuce. You know, we
Yeah.
had an offer from the Patriots last year. The year before, the Jets at one point in time, there was rumors that they were offering their 10th pick in the first round a couple of years ago. I think it was really coming
Okay.
off his historic season. So it's always kind of been there. And so, yeah, man, but I wouldn't stress too much on that. He knows where he's deadly and he's not a pure wide receiver. He knows sometimes he needs to get the ball really quickly to let him do his thing. I wouldn't stress on that too much, Deuce.
Do you think he's more of a um trade candidate, or you think they're going to have to release him? Like, has there been any rumors from that side about teams that's willing to trade for him?
Oh no, there definitely has been. I mean, there's obviously you guys are one of the teams that's interested. Denver had a lot of interest at some point in time. I don't know if that's wavered.
Mhm.
You know, the Giants, the Raiders were always rumored just because a need is there. But the first two teams, more like you guys in Denver, seem to have the most steam at first. The thing is though, is I do think if you were making me like make a decision today, I think he's going to end up being a post June 1st release, just because it saves us a little bit more money and we get to also a little bit less of a cap hit next year, which is technically the last year he's on our, like on our books, whatever. I just think we're going to go that route. I think that extra 6 million it would save us to release him June 1st and then take a little bit less of a cap hit next year. I just think we're going to do that, especially again, not saying it's going to happen, but especially if we even dip our toe in trying to get Garrett, trying to get Max Crosby, like something like that. If we want to get into any of those, deals, we're gonna obviously have to have some cap room to play with. So we'll see, man. I think if a team offered us a third round pick, Deuce, which I don't think we would get, but if some team did, I think Kyle and John would take that in a heartbeat.
Heartbeat,
But
yeah.
yeah, I would also take like a fourth and a seventh, or maybe like a fourth and a pick swap, something like that.
Mhm.
But we'll see what happens. But I have a feeling he's released post June 1st.
Luka Doncic.
Luca.
What is the outlook of these Lakers?
Man,
Um,
Deuce.
what is it looking like? Because a lot of people making a big deal out of the
Mhm.
center. Like Alex Lynn looked horrible the other night,
Yeah,
like
he did.
horrible. I mean Jackson Hayes looked better. The game before that against Utah, he like a kid and a fat kid in a candy store. When he was out there,
Right.
but man, I mean LeBron has won it with not such great centers before,
It's true.
but he's never had a Luka. Like, can him and Reeves work together, or they're gonna have to stagger? Reeves gonna have to take the second team, bring in Vando. What? How would they hoist up number 18?
So, I mean, there's a lot to say real quickly. So I would say first with the center position, Deuce. Listen, this is no by no means saying that I don't recognize it. And that obviously, if you're going to look at the Lakers roster, that's the number one position that stands out like a sore thumb, right? But the reason why I think it's being a little bit overblown, a little bit, okay, is number one, to your point, he doesn't really get a lot of rebounds, but Hayes' paint defense really actually isn't that bad.
Mhm.
It's not. Film and numbers would actually support that. We're not going to go into that right now, but
Gotcha,
but it does though, right? And then the other thing that people are not talking about enough is JJ Redick has seemed to have found his own version of a small ball, as the words used to
Mhm.
call it, a depth lineup, right? When he
Mhm.
goes this Rui, LeBron, Vando, now it's Luca, but before it was Reeves and Chris or
Mhm.
Reeves and Gabe, like there or DFS, there's some defense out there. You
Yeah.
have two good wing defenders. You could potentially have three if you want to include Gabe, but I think he
Mhm.
might be the one that doesn't really. He's going to play a lot, but I'm talking about like future because of
Yeah.
Luka now because he's a ball handler. But that's the part of it that I don't think people are talking about enough. I do think, to your point now, moving to the offense, I do think eventually JJ is going to have to find some way to stagger. I would still, obviously, you still have to start Luka, Reeves, and LeBron. Those are your
Yeah.
three best players. Reeves is in too much of a groove right now to
Yeah,
have
man.
mess with anything, like mess with coming off the bench or anything like that.
Yeah.
But you will probably eventually, probably a little bit more for defensive purposes, try to find a way to stagger. But I think for now, you're going to do to make it work, especially if you can kind of keep one of your bigs healthy and you have Vando and DFS out there, man. They clean up a lot more than I think the casual, not in a bad way, am I saying, but the casual person watching Lakers would either think or talk about.
Mhm.
I mean, they're 7-1 when Vando plays.
Yeah.
I
Well, they were
think
good
that
last
speaks.
year when he played, but man, he could not stay on the
I
court for
know he
nothing.
couldn't, so hopefully he can now. But to answer your question, I think you just kind of said it. What's it going to take to get 18 is we have to be healthy. I mean, at the end of the day, listen, we have Luka coming back of a calf. Those are always weird injuries.
Yeah.
And he's obviously working himself a little bit into like game shape, not because of those, rumors, right?
Right,
But
right,
I just
right,
mean he
right.
hasn't played since Christmas. And the
Yeah.
two games he has played with us, it's been against the Jazz. And one of them we blew them out, and the other one you could tell we wanted to go on vacation. So it's like,
Yeah.
let's see, I'm actually kind of happy we had back to back off of the break. Because I feel like it's good for Luka. I think he needs
Yeah.
that. I think he needs some
Because
running right
at
now,
first he
like just
wasn't
some,
gonna play,
get
right?
some playing. But I think we need to be healthy, Deuce. I think JJ needs to find the proper way to play those three and know when to not do them and when to play those three together. And I just think that he needs to trust our defensive lineups, and we just have to find the right matchups, bro. We just can't and don't play scared. Just because hey, if we end up playing the Thunder or playing the Nuggets, we can't. That we just have to. That's where matchups and that's where coaching comes in. But I think if we can stay healthy, Deuce, and we can find that right balance, especially on the defensive side. I listen, man. I'm not saying it's going to be all the way, but
Yeah.
I think people are not giving enough credit to what we can do.
Yeah, because these last 20, 30 some odd games left is probably the toughest part
It is.
of the year. And LeBron always does something, right? Like to let people know he's about to lock in, and him not playing
Yep.
in the All-Star game is that thing this year. I think he really, really wants it this year,
I think so
Sniggers.
too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I didn't mention LeBron yet, and I'm actually happy you did so we can talk about it because I think what you just said to me, what you just said is completely going under radar, and I think it could
Yeah.
end up being the reason why we do end up if we
Mm-hmm.
are like if somebody is to look back and say the reason why the Lakers won 18, I think it would all stem back to what you just said
Mm-hmm.
because LeBron believed in this run. He believed in the coaching and he believed in the fact that they got Luka and like wow, like we can actually do this, especially if I go that one more
Mm-hmm.
notch that I know that I can do even at the age of
Mm-hmm.
40. And I think you're right, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I said that's why I think like let's just let Luka get his groove. That's why I said I'm kind of happy we had the back to back and let's see what happens. But I think you make a really good point with that with LeBron, and I don't think people are talking about it enough. And I'm actually kind of happy they're not.
Yeah, exactly. Snuggers, thank you so much.
You're
I
welcome,
absolutely
my man.
appreciate you for joining, man. Of course, gonna be reaching out more this off season because I don't know many people teams in the West. I know you know them way more than I do. I don't really know no Seahawk guys or the Rams and any of those
Oh,
guys.
oh
But
no, we could definitely, man. If you ever wanted to do something like that, have like just like an NFC West thing, bro. Like, yeah, man.
yeah,
Obviously, giving us
for
heads
sure.
up, but yeah, we could definitely make that work. Because between like, who could all, like, bro, like, I know I gotta say people's names, but I don't want people on blast if they can't come
Got you,
on.
got
So,
you, got you,
but no,
got you.
we can definitely make that happen,
All
bro.
right, bet. I'll
Be
reach
the
out.
hardest
We
one
can
to
try to
probably be
get
the
that.
Cardinals because the Cardinals don't have a lot of
Yeah,
fans.
I know. I know one Cardinals fan. I know one Cardinals fan that loves Cliff. Like he just pops in spaces from time to time.
That's funny.
He even popped in the litter box a few times,
I love
like
it.
glazing Cliff or whatever. So like, I don't. But I don't know. He seems a little
I got you. I got
energetic.
you.
You know what I mean? So like, but yeah, absolutely. Thank you for joining us,
Anytime, man.
Snuggers. This was great. Thanks you to all of you that's out there. Your time is very valuable for you to spend it with us. We absolutely, absolutely appreciate it. Remember, do it because you love it, not because it loves you. One beat, one sound, one heart, one love.